What people need to understand is the big picture. We look at Costilla County and we see this war on off-the-grid living. And we ask ourselves, why is it really happening? When we look at Roger, we ask ourselves, where is this guy really from? You know, it's like those people in San Luis asking me, why are you here? And I told them they don't have to like it. Or the fact that I'm not Spanish and that I'm low income. But we can ask the same question of Roger. Roger, why are you here? Where do you live? Oh, you live up in the mountains just somewhere? And you just caught wind of all this and thought you would head down with the U.S. Marshals and take command of the situation. Someone could do whatever they want. You can do whatever you want. You can claim your sovereignty. You can get into issues with the police. That's your right. There's some people who have gotten away with that for years. It gets into a gray area where you have a group of sovereign folks and not everybody knows everybody there. There are some people that talk a lot about sovereignty that are absolute sociopaths, psychopaths, control freaks. And sometimes off the grid you see what people are really like. There's a few psychopaths that are out here. And there's also some decent people. But with hardcore survivalist types, you deal with some extreme personalities. In this case, this guy's telling me he knows my history in a creepy voice. He's there to take command and see who will obey his orders. See who will deal with that personality type. I remember when those people grunted, some of them, when he asked if people understood, while others were silent and just watched. So we have the government creating groups and then labeling them domestic extremists in some cases, or labeling other groups domestic extremists that are completely innocent, saying they may be planning some type of attack or act of violence. And there's all this fear nowadays about gun owners and all these different groups, from black people to white people to gangs to ISIS. Got a war on everything these days. So you have a massive federal government built up to fight domestic extremists. They've also trained foreign troops inside the United States to take on these groups. Whatever someone does regarding their own freedom, it's good to keep a low profile. We've been making noise about what's happening in Costilla County because there's a land rights issue. There's violations of the Constitution. There isn't any need to go militant with this. And the cops are already freaked out enough. Some of them had their life threatened. And so they're confusing this anger from the new residents that don't want to be pushed off their land with maybe people that will be threatening. Plus, you do have some behavior from some police officers that is unruly. So sometimes you're going to get a certain reaction from some people that came here to be left alone. I, for one, have never had any plans to have a firefight with police. And you know what? Unfortunately, some people forget the big picture of why we're out here to survive something big in the future. It's not here to have a conflict with Costilla County. We got to work this stuff out to the point where we can have a beer afterwards. The people of Costilla County and the Prairie and the people of San Luis got to work this stuff out. There are other problems coming that the people of San Luis will be facing. I feel this inside my gut. So I'm not going to waste any time being angry at the people of San Luis because they're watching. There's something going on. And I think there might be other groups, government groups, who knows, that may one day walk this whole area. And don't think you will be in a situation where you're not affected by it. It's the same county. There's beautiful country everywhere, all around San Luis and surrounding areas. Remember in 1989 when the federal government came in and they were even investigating Costilla County sheriff's officers for poaching? Remember that, 1989, when the federal government came in? Were they your friends then? They're not your friends now. They put out propaganda saying these groups might be domestic extremists, and you have local San Luis bloggers repeating that, not even realizing that the only thing that unifies us is that we're out here and we don't want to be pushed out of here. So we may come together and have dialogues, and you don't see the arguments and debates behind the scenes, not on YouTube, but they exist. And the fact is, there are people that have been gullible enough to wait around the last few weeks and put their energy and hope, emotion into this whole Meet the Judge event. Meanwhile, others speak of community, but they're really only speaking of their own community. and what's happening around them, because that's what's important, and that is important. But the idea of community and all of us watching each other's back and actually listening to each other when there's a warning, when there's people that are shady, or in the Facebook group calling for stupid things, people that aren't even here. They could be government agents or people pulling a prank. That happened immediately when the group was started. Some freak from Chicago came in and started saying things that some people in San Luis thought represented the group. This stuff is happening. It's happening now. It makes me feel a little uneasy to think of the federal government looking at this as a test project to rile things up so they can go after people. I think that the people of San Luis and the people of the prairie need to think very clearly about this. Get beyond the drama. And I don't like you. What are you doing here? Like, look at what's going on. Look at what's going on with the water. Where is the water going? There's a drought. There's over-irrigation. This should not happen. So I really need to make this video. I think the people of San Luis also should be paying attention to what's going on with the land use code changes, with what the federal government's doing, with large events taking place in the world, and why people may flee here. If they don't know about some of the risks that our country's facing, with wars of aggression that our military is involved in, then they should do some research, then they should subscribe to this channel and come back for more. Because tomorrow we're going to talk about some of these larger events taking place in the world. They shouldn't run us out of here. But right now, this is a really iffy time for Costilla County.